the gentleman from Texas, new member of Congress, Mr. Allred, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And if there are any Texans who have hung in there, I'd love it if you could raise your hand or stand up. Just let me see you out there. Thank you so much to the Texans for your incredible service. I'm incredibly honored to be representing Dallas. Commander Rice, thank you so much for being here today, and to your incredible staff. I understand that I owe you a happy birthday coming up here.
Yes.
Nearly 100 years of incredible service to our nation's combat veterans, and to really all of our veterans. And so on behalf of the 34,000 veterans in my district, and really all of the people who live in my district, I want to thank you and everybody at the Legion for all of your incredible service to our country.
Thank you.
I had the honor of being an appointee in the Obama administration of the Department of Housing and Urban Development before I sought this office. And we placed a large focus on combating and ending veterans' homelessness through the HUD and VA supportive housing program. And I was concerned to see in 2017 a rise in veterans' homelessness. Happy to see that there was a slight reversal of that in 2018. And I'd like to just ask you where we stand and how HUD and the VA are working together with you and with other VSOs to combat veterans' homelessness moving forward.
I would like to ask our legislative director, Matt Schuman, to elaborate, please.
Well, thank you for the question, Congressman. Making sure that there's not one homeless veteran on the street is absolutely the critical mission, one of the critical missions of the American Legion. The point in time in December, just a few months ago, had roughly about 30,000 veterans at any given point were homeless, and as I think we've already said, that's just too many. The HUD-VASH program and the SSVF programs really need to be made permanent. We need the staff that run those programs don't need to be worrying about if they're going to have a job in 6 months. If they're worrying about themselves, how are they worrying about providing quality services and wraparound services to veterans? Further, it's not just about giving a homeless veteran a home. We can give them the biggest mansion in America, unless we also provide those wraparound services from health care to job placement and mental health, they're going to end up back on the street. So we really need to take care of those veterans.
Thank you, Mr. Schuman. I completely agree with you. I think that your recommendation is right on. It's hard for us to plan long-term around a temporary program, and also homelessness often has so many factors that go into it, and providing a home is only one step in combating that. And so, thank you for that. We'll certainly be working towards that. Chairman Bozzella, I wanted to thank you for mentioning some of the creative therapies that are out there for veterans. We have a great organization in Dallas called eQuest that does great work with our veterans through equine therapy, which you mentioned specifically. And I am deeply concerned, as many of the members who have spoken here today are, about suicide prevention and what we can do to use creative methods to provide our veterans with the care that they need. And when I visited with the VA in Dallas, which is the second largest VA in the country, they expressed interest in having some help in working with some of the outside groups to kind of better form other forms of therapies and to use some of the resources that are at their disposal in a more efficient way. What can we do in Congress to help those organizations work with our VA to make sure that all of the resources that we have out there, and there are a number of great groups out there that are doing this kind of work, that they are actually at the fingertips of the VA?
Chairman Bozzella.
Thank you, Commander. Thank you, Congressman Allred. The number one thing that needs to happen is for VA to believe that alternative therapies are, in fact, viable, that they do work for people. One of the things that they do is they help veterans stay in the evidence-based therapies, the cognitive-based therapies, the prolonged exposure. Some of that therapy can be very difficult for people, and I'm sure Dr. Rowe would understand that, how tough it is to relive a traumatic experience. And sometimes they want to leave, where the CAM, we call it, complementary and alternative medicines, keeps them engaged. It does give them a sense of belonging and a sense of purpose. The equine stuff I think you're referring to, it's almost magical what happens when veterans are teamed up with a horse and they have to care for that horse. That's a sense of purpose. That's a sense of belonging, having to care for another being. Yeah. And those kind of things work tremendously. So I think VA, and by the way, they are coming around to this stuff now. Yeah. And it's taken a while, but they're getting there. I'm glad to hear Dallas is interested. Mm-hmm. You can talk to the American Legions, the VFWs in your areas. You can get that kind of support from VSOs, and I'm sure they'll be there for you.
Yeah, we will do that. And my time has expired, but I just wanted to, again, thank all of you for being here. Thank you for your service to our country, and thank you so much for helping us understand the things that we need to be working on to make sure we keep our commitment to our veterans.